A lot of people asked me to do a sumo tutorial, but I knew I couldn't give the game justice if I tried a comprehensive tutorial on my own. But I know one thing that YouTubers are absolutely amazing at, tier lists. Even though, I don't know, this tier list system is super buggy. It's cropping out my words, how dare it. Anyways, um, I have a lot of sumo tech, a lot of things that I do. Some of these things I discovered myself, so you're gonna get some unique, probably interesting information, and a lot of stuff that I would recommend you don't do, like e-tapping. Don't. That's just dumb. Anyways, uh, let's go over the sprint resets first. I'll sort by different things. So first we have old reliable W tap. Damn, I have to move them all the way back up here. Okay. Easily S tier. The first thing anyone needs to know in Sumo is how to reset their sprint, and of course, W tap is peak. You know, it's the first thing everyone learns. It's the most common sprint reset tech, but I still use it, so there's that. When it comes to high level play, you're going to have to optimally W tap, which means spending as little time as possible with the button released and timing your W tap so that your opponent doesn't hit you when you have the button released to avoid getting launched. Whoops. More on that when we get to W hold, which is another thing that is pretty interesting. So yeah, crouch shift tapping. Where is that? That's the next thing. Crouch shift tap. Damn, I don't know what I should give it. Yeah, I mean you don't have to learn it. It's like an alternate. It's like an alternate W tap. Crouching after you hit your opponent functions similarly to a W tap, but the key difference is that you keep moving forwards during the sprint reset. Next thing, it's one of the niche things. This is one of the niche strategies. Hold W, tap S. That is something that you probably don't need to know. It's a lot of people. I don't know. People used to do it all the time, but I don't know why. It's like a W tap, but instead of releasing W, you just press S while holding a W, which functions the same as releasing W, except it's just more weird with your fingers. Yeah, it's just worse. It's just bad. Okay. Yeah, same thing with our good old friend. There it is. Yeah, E-tap, also bad. Uh, y'all heard of sprint tapping? Sprint tapping is when you press the sprint button to reset your sprint. It is you should learn it. It's a bit niche. It's probably better than W tapping in general, but it is like it's different. Unlike other sprint methods, you don't risk yourself getting launched because you never release sprint. You never stop sprinting if you do it right. I don't know. It's an okay alternative to W tapping. All right, now I'm gonna move on to the sequencing strategies or the selecting strategies. Hit select. You know where I'm gonna put this boy. Immediate S tier. You gotta know how to hit select if you're gonna play sumo. It's actually absurd. It's just waiting until your opponent hits you, and then you hit them. You really gotta keep track of your opponent's ping though. If they have a really low ping, then they could potentially flawless you. If their ping is a lot lower than yours, but otherwise you can generally hit select every once in a while, and it'll be very viable. Don't do it too much, or you're gonna get S tapped into oblivion. But yeah, it's key. Okay, you gotta learn it. Next up is the other ultimate strategy, mid trading. It's like the ultimate version of hit selecting. It's where you hit select, but you're in a trade. You're currently trading with your opponent. You're like within 3 blocks or whatever. You're swinging at your opponent, and then you wait until they hit you in the middle of the trade, and then you hit them after they hit you, and then you just win that sequence. Okay, you literally you switch it all around, and then you combo them. It's kind of crazy. It is a bit more complicated than that. It's a lot about how fast you're moving, your velocity, your distance. It's important to get close enough to your opponent when you try to mid-trade so that you don't fall out of attack distance before you can hit them back. Which means reaction time is key for both mid-trading and hit selecting. They're basically the same thing, but most people will only hit select and they won't mid-trade. And mid-trading is arguably more important than hit selecting. So, yeah, it's basically the cornerstone of competitive Sumo PvP. So it's an immediate S tier. Alright, now I'm moving on to, you won't see it because it's all cropped out. But here's predictive Hitselects or delay hits. Yeah, it's very cropped out. It took out half the words. This is when you attempt to hit select your opponent by not waiting until you actually comprehend their attack, but by guessing where they will swing, or I mean when they will swing. If you use this as an alternative to hit selecting, it's a bad idea. But I do delay hit at the start of a game under the context that my opponent has a lower ping than me and a higher CPS, because if I try to hit them when I'm as soon as 3 blocks, then I might get double hit. And if I wait too long, I get S-tapped, so I go for like a slight delay in some circumstances. But just know it's never foolproof, and this is always like a bit of a niche strategy. It's kind of a meh. Maybe I should put it in B tier because it can win you some fights. It could win you some fights. But it's just, don't use it as an alternative to these two. You're gonna have to learn how to hit select as soon as you comprehend them attacking you. This is reaction based. This is predictive based. Now I'm moving on to clicking methods. We love clicking methods. Normal clicking, I mean. Normal clicking is probably what your father would do if you put him in front of the computer and told him to fight someone in Minemen Club Sumo. It provides the least CPS, but gives you a lot of control over your mouse inputs. Unless your mouse is totally busted, you probably won't end up getting double clicks or swinging when you don't want to, which is a bit of an issue in Sumo if you're trying to sequence. But it's not all that common. I would say it's kind of a meh. You probably don't want to do it. It's basically it's non-viable nowadays. You're gonna get walled out of existence and then murdered. Jitter clicking. Jitter clicking is a clicking method where you tense up your arm or wrist to generate clicks on your mouse. It provides way more CPS than single clicking, but it can mess with your aim, and it can be hard to sustain in long games. It can generate double clicks, but not all that often. I would say jitter clicking belongs in B tier. The thing is, jitter clicking, if you already know how to butterfly click, you probably don't want to need to learn how to jitter click. But it's okay, like, if you're already a jitter clicker, and you're, like, really good at it, you don't really need to learn butterfly if you're, like, really good. So I'd say it's okay, but I'd always say try to learn butterfly before you learn jitter click. Oh, yo, the fans are turning back on. Darn it. I wanted to have fanless recording, but I guess you're going to hear a little rumbling in the background. Butterfly clicking. Butterfly clicking is S tier, okay? It's really good for timing your attacks. It's where you click with 2 or more fingers consecutively on the same mouse button. Most often your index and middle fingers. Butterfly clicking generates higher CPS than jitter for most people, as well as it generates a lot of double clicks, which can sometimes cause you to hit when you don't want to, but it's generally really good for Sumo, I think. I use it. That's my strategy. Drag clicking. Oh, yo. Drag clicking. Drag clicking is when you drag your finger forwards on your mouse and generate clicks from the friction. This can generate massive amounts of CPS without much of a downside. I don't do it, but it is definitely better than butterfly clicking. It can generate absurd CPS. It can be bannable on some servers as well as butterfly clicking, but most servers are okay with it. And it is very powerful. Alright, now moving on to the miscellaneous things. Jump reset. Oh, we love jump reset. Jump reset is A. S tier, okay. A jump reset is when you press jump right as you get hit, and that interrupts your knockback so that you get increased vertical KB, but decreased horizontal KB. It's pretty absurd. If done at the wrong time, you can end up jumping too early and then getting hit, which will absolutely cook you. You'll get launched, especially if you're that high in the air. You can strategize by only jump resetting in moments when you know your opponent is going to hit you, or when, if they don't attack you, they will die on their own. They'll just die. So it's a bit of strategy to it. You kind of have to predict with you have to be predictive with jump resets, because I don't think anyone has like that one tick reaction time that you would need for a non-predictive jump reset. Maybe they do, but it's certainly not consistent. I jump reset when I'm getting comboed. It helps me escape combos. It's really good. All right. Next is AD tapping. This is something people don't really talk about, but it's really important. AD tapping is when you press A or D to strafe into the direction you get hit, which reduces your KB. It is really good for Sumo, where getting close enough to your opponent so that you can stay in the trade is very important. Everyone wants those combos, but you don't want to get knocked. You don't want to get pushed away. And any amount of KB reduction helps. So this is what I do all the time, but I've seen people who are okay at Sumo and don't know how to do it. So it's all around like, I would learn this. You should still learn that. 7 tapping. Oh, that's an interesting one. 7 tapping. It's okay. 7 tapping is when you alternate between pressing A and D repeatedly. If done at the wrong time, it can lead you to being comboed easily, but when done right, it can be super unpredictable for your opponents. I would never use it in a fight off the bat. It's more of a strategy that I would switch to if nothing else is working against my opponent. On Hypixel, this is maybe like A tier or maybe even S tier, because it's way more viable over there, but it's way less useful on Minemen Club. Corner aiming. Oh, this is one of my strategies. Okay, this is one of the things I cooked up. Okay, it's a little goofy. Corner aiming is okay. Corner aiming is a strategy where you aim at the edge of the cuboid hurt box. Unless your look vector intersects with your opponent's hurt box at an angle that is a multiple of 90 degrees, as in like directly forwards, that's what I mean by that. Go for those axes instead. Aim directly forwards when your opponent is directly forwards from you. When you're aiming at a corner, if the opponent moves really fast, you can sometimes fall out of aim, so you gotta have a pretty good aim if you want to do this. And it takes a lot of practice. It's a whole different type of aiming. It can be helpful, especially for combos, and especially when your opponent doesn't move that much. When your opponent's not much of a strafer. Also, another thing, the F3B hitbox is slightly smaller than the actual hurt box, but it's good enough to aim at if you want to do this strategy. Alright, now we've got this neat little strategy. No one really does this, but I don't know, it's kind of meh. There's better alternatives. Or there's more interesting alternatives. Strafe running. At the start of the game, or when you get launched by your opponent, your main objective is always, or usually, to get as far away from the ledge as possible before you enter back into combat. One way to move faster in Minecraft is by walking in a direction diagonally, and this can be abused by aiming at an angle to where you want to go. This might be viable if your FOV is high enough that you can see when your opponent is about to be within range, but like literally no one does this. This is a bit of a meh. Alright, now I'm moving on to the things that generally fit the definition of a counter hit select. First up is, of course, S-tapping, the legendary. S-tapping is really good. You're gonna want to learn it. That's easily S tier. S-tapping is when you let go of W and press S to become too far away from your opponent to hit you, allowing you to press W again and then trap them in a combo. It is extremely powerful against hit selectors and during mid-trades. Okay, it can make or break your game. You gotta learn this strategy. Essentially, it's like you back out and then you go back in. It's like an extreme spacing strategy, and it's really, really good. At high level play, you can't just rely on strafing to get space. You have to know how to S-tap. The other counter hit select, no one really talks about this, but it is a real thing. First hit spam. This is, I mean, it's kind of meh, because once you see it, you know how to counter it. This strategy is just spamming left click so your opponent can't sequence. This strategy is almost exclusively viable for people with really low ping. You do not want to do this if you have a higher ping than your opponent. You will get cooked. But it's essentially just spamming, just clicking like absurdly fast, and in a way that it prevents your opponent from hit selecting or mid trading or whatever against you. It's not foolproof, but it can cook someone if they don't realize you're doing it or they don't know how to counter it. The strategies to avoiding that are generally like, if you got a lower ping, then the strategy is, of course, just hit select them. They're going to get cooked. If you have a higher ping, then maybe W holding might help you get close enough to mid trade them, or just spam clicking yourself could potentially work to counter first hit spam clicking. It's a little bit unintuitive, but it works often to deal with those sort of people. Next strategy. Oh, I love this one. Yo, no one ever talks about this, but it's really crazy. W hold is S tier. You must learn this. You don't. It's really important for high level gameplay. It's just holding down the W key and not sprint resetting. This causes you to take less KB, but also deal less KB. It can be used to get closer to your opponent, especially to initiate a mid trade. It can also be used to initiate a walkthrough, which just means you're on the opposite side of your opponent, which can be advantageous if you were formerly up against the ledge. Alright, next up, strategic jumping. Strategic jumping is when you jump quickly to close the space between you and your opponent. This strategy can be useful in situations like the start of the game, or if you get launched far away from your opponent, or when your opponent runs out of a combo. You're probably going to want to learn this. I've used it less and less the more I play, but it's still pretty good. It can help with more sweaty players who will just run from combos, and they want to take as much space as they can get. Jumping towards your opponent to fill the space rather than just running towards them. It can be useful, but it can also be a bad thing if you do it wrong, because you do not want to be in the air when you just get within reach of your opponent, because they're gonna launch you away, and you're gonna have height disadvantage, so you're not gonna be able to hit them back. All right, here's something that's it's not really a Minemen Club thing, but it's pretty viable on Hypixel. It's just really hard. Okay, here's the ledge shifting. Some servers cause you to slide on the ground after you get hit, and if this happens, you can shift to prevent yourself from sliding off the edge. Yeah, this is it's pretty crazy. It feels it's pretty. I mean, it's like very tricky for not that much reward, but it could save your life if you do it correctly. You're not really going to see situations where you do it on Minemen Club, because you don't really slide on the ground on Minemen Club. But Hypixel has a lot of sliding on the ground when you get hit. So I believe if your velocity is high enough, you'll slide even if you're shifted up against the ledge. So it's really inconsistent, and it's really tricky. So that's why it's kind of meh. Next up are the running strats. Okay, these are just methods of escaping combos, besides strafing and just hoping for the best. Running with S key. It's okay. Yeah. I don't know. Wait, no. I don't know. It's really hard to rate the running strategies because they're all kind of the same, with a few differences. It's just pressing S to fall out of a combo. That is what it is. It's okay. It works. Turn run. This is like that. Turn run is like that, but you turn away. It potentially lets you get farther faster, but since you're not facing your opponent, you cannot reduce against your opponent when they're hitting you. So if you're it would be a bad thing to do it if you do it incorrectly. You could potentially like put yourself in a bad position. But generally, both of those strategies, you can do one or the other. It doesn't really matter. Another one is a little bit different. Jumping out of combo. Jumping out of a combo or a jump run. It's yeah. It's complicated because when you jump, you're probably trying to get a jumper set when you do this, which means you would immediately start a trade when you were previously in a combo. But if you fail the jump, if you jump and you don't get into a trade, you don't successfully jumper set, then this is like a really far run. You'll get launched. That might not be what you want though, because if you're getting, you could potentially go way farther than you want to, and you could potentially get knocked into the void. It's something that I take. It's a risk I take because I don't know. It's my preferred running method, but yeah. Any of those probably work fine. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. This one's more of a gamble, jump running. Next up is walkthrough. This is yeah, it's okay. It is rarely viable, but it can be the most viable against the most sweaty players. Okay, people who are absolute walls, anti-KBers, people who click way more CPS than you. It can be extremely useful. If you're too close to your opponent, if you get too close to your opponent, whether intentionally or unintentionally, you can end up on the opposite side of them, which can be useful if you're at the edge of the map. Because suddenly you have the advantage right there, because they're at the ledge now. It is very unpredictable, and if you don't fix your aim fast enough, which you need to do, if you walk through your opponent, you're going to have to turn around really fast. You could potentially get launched by your opponent because you're not reducing against them. So you're going to want to aim real fast. The fact you got to change your aim real fast makes this strategy more difficult if you have a lower FOV. I lose a lot of the walkthroughs I have because my FOV is 60. I know everyone keeps bullying me for it, but it's amazing. It's the best FOV. Don't judge me. It's better for aiming. Alright, pausing. If your opponent is going for a walkthrough, this happens a lot more on Hypixel. If your opponent is going for a walkthrough, pausing or slowing down your movement by strafing or releasing W can make it more difficult for them to do that. But this is like a bit. You're gonna want to know when you're doing this. You're gonna want to make sure you're like you know what you're doing because it is very intentionally causing yourself to take more KB and to get further away from your opponent. So if you misread your opponent, this could be potentially a bad thing. You could potentially lose a lot of space. But it's not even foolproof. Pausing might not even stop someone from walkthroughing. It just makes it a lot harder because if you're taking more KB, then it's harder for them to walk through you. You're only really gonna want to do this if your opponent is if your opponent's at the ledge, because then if they walk through, you're sort of cooked. Next up is something I came up with. Feign attack. We love feign attack. I made this up a while ago, but it works on a lot of people. Feign attack is when you swing in the air as you approach your opponent, only to hit select, or when you don't swing in the air, only to go for a first hit. This can trick players who try to predict if they should jump reset or hit select based on if their opponent is swinging. They'll think, oh, he's swinging, therefore he's going to go for a first hit. But it's not always the case. You can use this to your advantage. Overall, tricking your opponent doesn't occur enough for this to be worth going for. But it takes a lot of brain power to do this strategy. You're gonna have to it might not be worth it. You might want to take that brain power and put it into like doing something else, aiming better, whatever. And if you mess it up, you will potentially just do the wrong attack. You'll hit select when you wanted to first hit, or you'll first hit when you wanted to hit select. So it's a bit use at your own risk. Here are some weird strategies. FPS capping. Garbage. Okay. You guys don't even know what this is. Well, a lot of people don't know what this is. By setting your max FPS to a low number like 30, you will just like reduce more KB for some reason. It's like a weird thing that happens. But you can observe it for yourself. Go on Bridge or Land, reduce practice, and you will just reduce more KB with a lower FPS. I imagine it has something to do with like how the physics works with the frame rate or whatever. Potentially could be the thing about it is the lower your FPS is, the less info you have to go off of for your opponent's location, your aim, and it'll make your reaction time worse. So it's a trade-off, and it's probably a trade-off that's not worth it. Next strategy is screenshot lagging. This is one of those scummy strats. This is an F tier strategy because it's kind of bullshit. Taking a screenshot can cause your game to stutter or freeze for a moment. It is basically a built-in lag switch. It probably will depend on how good your computer or your client is to show how effective or ineffective the strategy is. It will make your FPS worse, but it'll also make it look like you're teleporting for other players, because you basically are. Wow. Don't do this. It's annoying as hell, and it's also weird. It's real weird. Oh, here's the epitome of weird. Most servers will ban for this. Freezing. By pressing F3S, your camera movements and player position are temporarily frozen, which can make you float above the void for an extended period of time, above the water or whatever. Also, grabbing the top of the Minecraft tab will result in the same thing, but it won't ever unfreeze until you let go of it. This, of course, will go in F tier or D tier. Because you're going to get banned for cheating. Alright, I did not move movement pausing. I'm pretty sure I reviewed that one. That goes in... Where does it go? I don't know. I guess here. Wow, that was everything, actually. Yo, you just watched a 40-minute-long El Boomski video. Maybe you should subscribe. I'll be very happy about that. Yeah. Please, thank you for watching. Thank you. Yeah. That is all my wisdom. Unless I forgot something, which I definitely did. I'm pretty sure I've forgotten something. At least one thing. I'm releasing my texture pack at, 2K subscribers. So, please help me with that.